Ladies and gentlemen, what is up, and welcome to today's video guide, where we're going to be talking all about the best 3-star characters to max out in Marvel Contest of Champions. Now, today's video is kind of aimed at newer to intermediate progressing players. It's hopefully to give you a solid foundation and understanding of the characters that are going to make a really big difference when you're looking to make progress in like Master Mode, Act 4, Act 5, because there becomes a certain point in the game when it gets to some of the challenging content where it's not really about just like having a character that can deal a lot of damage. You need a character or some characters of solid utility that can deal with a variety of scenarios, like insane power gain. You need characters that can control an opponent's power. You might need a character that can block a ton of damage on in certain scenarios, so like Captain America. You might need characters like Road to the Labyrinth that can reduce defensive ability accuracy, like Crossbones and Black Widow. And you might need characters that can just stun the absolute crap out of everything, like Hulk or Ronan. So hopefully today's video is going to give you a fairly solid guide of which characters to invest your resources in as 3-stars to get the maximum amount of progression possible and have the tools on a monthly basis to deal with all the challenges and stuff that is kind of thrown at us with every single event. So anyway, let's get into some of what I believe to be the best characters. Now, when it comes to my roster in game, it's a little bit different. I'm playing at a very kind of like, well, very endgame level. Once you get to the endgame of Marvel Contest of Champions, it's pretty much like max out all the 3-star characters you can to maximize the amount of points you can get in Arena. So like, I know some people would have clocked that a few champions like Mordo, Elektra, and Hal the Duck. They'll be visible on the left-hand side of the screen, but I do not recommend taking those characters up. They don't really serve too much of a use, but they're good for Arena points, you know, when you get to the endgame. Anyway, with that slight disclaimer out of the way, let's talk about some of the most awesome champions. So we're going to start in the skill tree. Now, Crossbones and Black Widow and Elektra all kind of perform a similar function, which is reduced defensive ability accuracy. But kind of as a newer player, I definitely suggest focusing on either a Crossbones or Black Widow. Ideally, Crossbones is a 3-star, if I am honest. Just really badass champion, and specifically for like Road to Labyrinth Chapter 3 and Quest 5 in that, you have a Deadpool, which Crossbones kind of needs to deal with his Fury ability, which allows him to bypass the safeguard node and defensive ability accuracy there. So Crossbones is a very useful character for that, and also all three of them are just generally useful for that stuff. Now Daredevil, it's the classic version. Let me just add it in here because that's quite important. Daredevil Classic is a very good character to have maxed as a 3-star, because if you can get him up to dupe level 99, he automatically will evade any projectile attack. So any special attack that is a projectile, is a beam, is a missile, is gun shots, he can automatically evade that. So, you know, if you're going through Act 4 and you're having a little bit of trouble on Maestro with his special one, like Daredevil Classic is a very good option for dealing with that. So yeah, would definitely recommend getting up a 3-star Daredevil Classic. Very circumstantially useful in a lot of the monthly event quests. Also has some pretty dope block proficiency and a very high chance to proc a perfect block as well. So on a block, he has a good chance to take 0 damage. So that's pretty useful there. Gwenpool is a very badass champion. She has a kind of she applies a lot of bleeds, and when you're attacking into a bleeding target, it has a chance to stun the opponent. She also has a power lock on her special 2. She has an armor break on her special 3, and she also, when awakened, can endure like special 3 attacks, like multiple special 3s, which is really good. Has a damage cap on the amount of damage she can receive from a special attack, so that's very valuable utility there. And yeah, Gwenpool is just a really fun champion to play as well. So I'd suggest like Gwenpool is a pretty solid option to get up as well. I know there is a free 3-star Gwenpool in this month's login calendar if you've been logging in every day. Then next up we have Hawkeye, very good power drain on his special 1, which is very useful, you know, as a power control mechanic there, but that's pretty much it for Hawkeye. That's all he's got going on for him, but that power drain on his special 1, Hey, it does come in handy, it certainly does. So in the science tree, not too many champions here. The first one I'd say is Cap World War II, definitely. Really strong champion. Even the classic Captain America actually is a potential option as well. But just both versions of Captain America have really high block chance. When Captain World War II is fighting an opponent with a buff, it's you taking 0 damage while you're blocking. And the other Captain America, his health needs to be chipped down a little bit, but then he's going to get like a guaranteed 0 block. Very valuable utility. So yeah, really great to have for a variety of event quests, and they're just really great characters, providing you can play well, because you're going to take 0 damage. And then next up we have Hulk, pretty hard-hitting champion as a 3-star, has an 85% chance to stun on a special 1, and it's also poison immune, so I definitely suggest taking up Hulk as a 3-star, pretty good character. Quake is a good champion to have, providing you can play her well with a heavy attack. Like, Quake is a very difficult champion to master, but if you can get really good at playing Quake, and you invest quite a bit of time into it, she can be very useful. So yeah, Quake's on the list, but she's a little bit of a maybe not like a super beginner champion, maybe like when you're kind of going into the intermediate to advanced, maybe she's one you want to have a look at, but you do need to invest quite a bit of time, like learning how to play Quake with heavy attacks before you get like super good and she becomes an awesome champion. So yeah, Quake's good, but you need to invest the time there. So in the Mutant, we have Wolverine. Wolverine is just for the insane regeneration, so good for dealing with a lot of stuff. I've been using Wolverine quite a bit for a lot of the Act 5 stuff we've been doing. He's one of the MVPs in like Chapter 2 of, Quest number 2 in the first chapter of Act 5, where that one's all about endurance. So yeah, he's really good for that, and Wolverine's just a great character in general for like sustainable regeneration, but he does need to be awakened to get that. Archangel is an MVP when it comes to this month's event, because Archangel has a heal block, providing that you can both plead and poison the opponent. You can get like heal block up 24/7 on Archangel. Very powerful piece of utility. And again, like in this month's event quest where you have like a triple regen Deadpool, just completely shuts him down and you can just annihilate him. So yeah, really good for that. You also have Psylocke in the Mutant class. Amazing power denial. She's such a great champion for that. Power control is the name of the game when it comes to Psylocke. She's all about that. And if you can completely control your opponent and keep them on 0 power, because when you get them to 0 power, if you attack into them, it won't generate any power, providing you don't get hit. Then she also reduces defensive ability accuracy there. So yeah, some very interesting stuff that Psylocke can do. I highly do recommend Psylocke as a character to take up for power control. She's very good for that. Rogue has some interesting utility where she can copy a buff on a special 1, has reduced debuff duration, and also a pretty strong power drain on her special 2, which when you've got her awakened at a decent level, that has a really good chance to crit. And not only does it's not a power drain, it's a power steal, so any of the drained power will go back to Rogue, so you can just keep on firing off your special 2. So she's quite a fun power control champion to play. I really do enjoy Rogue there. Next up we have Iceman. Iceman is really good for countering evade champions. He's also very good for countering any poison or bleed lanes, or kind of any maps that you have where that is an issue. Iceman, just generally, he's quite a fun champion to play, and it's just a good counter for poison, bleed, or evade. So yeah, he's got that going on for him. And then finally we have 2 which I'd say aren't as much of a priority, but they're still nice champions to have if you bought the 3-star Deadpool within the first 14 days of playing the game. He's got some really good healing, but he needs to be awakened for that. And X-23, really solid damage dealing champion, a little bit of regen as well, not quite as much as Wolverine, but it's still very useful. We tend to use X-23 quite a bit for like the 3-star master mode challenges that we do on the channel, just because she's so much fun to play. But also with the Despair synergy, which reduces healing for every debuff you have on the opponent. If you're playing really aggressively with X-23, quite often that's like 4 or 5 stacks of bleed, so it's like 60 to minus 75% healing. So very valuable stuff there. But you know, it's not a priority in terms of utility. She's just one that I personally like quite a bit and recommend getting up. Then we have the Mystic class, so we have Voodoo. Voodoo is a utility god. He can just do do so much stuff. He can nullify, he can power drain, a little bit of regeneration at the start of the fight. He can reduce defensive ability accuracy. Like, Voodoo is a character with an insane amount of depth to him. So yeah, Voodoo is definitely, without a surefire doubt, one of the best options as a 3-star character to fully max out. So yeah, Voodoo #1, and if you haven't already got him from this month's normal mode event, I would definitely suggest doing that 100%, so you can guarantee you get a 3-star version of Voodoo, because he is a really, really good character. Now, next up we have Magic. Amazing power control, really, really good for dealing with Old Man Logan, Groot, any characters that have a lot of buffs. Very similar to Voodoo, she can just turn that into damage, but with her special 3 as well. So yeah, Magic's a sick champion. Scarlet Witch is an absolute nullify machine, and a bit of a random Swiss Army knife for the stuff that she can do. She can stun, she can power lock, she can drain power as well, but all of that stuff is very, very random. So Scarlet Witch is still good, but she's just very, very unreliable at some point. So sometimes it's good. It works like if you're doing King Groot Master Mode. Angela, really, really great champion for that. But if you need like a specific power lock or something, maybe like a Magic or a Voodoo is going to be a little bit more reliable there. But she's still an option. She still does work. Then we have Dormammu. Dormammu has some great bleed and poison utility. Really, really good for that because he's immune to both of those. Really strong power drain mechanics. Like, if you parry and then double medium with Dormammu, which is kind of like swiping right 2 times instead of tapping, then you can just, it's crazy. Like, your opponent will never gain power because you hit it and then take the power away instantly. So yeah, really, really strong stuff there. He's also got a power lock on his special too. So Dormammu, just crazy champion for power control. Then we also have Hood. Hood is a bit of an interesting character because I underrated Hood initially, but what does Hood have going for him? So there's a little bit of regen via his preemptive nullifier that he applies. So on every single crit that you land with Hood, he applies like a debuff that when it will cancel out the next buff that the character gets and then heal Hood for a little bit. So very, very good for when you're fighting characters that, like Iron Man, they're about to get their regeneration, or maybe Juggernaut. But also Hood on his special too, he has a Fate Seal, which is very, very valuable because Fate Seal prevents the opponent from getting like any beneficial effects for its duration. And especially with Mystic Dispersion, there's just a combo. If you're against an ability that like does quite a few enemy that has like quite a few buffs going on, and you just keep on firing that special too, you can almost keep the opponent Fate Sealed like 100% of the time. It's very, very good there. And also in his invisibility mode, which is activated by the special 2 or by dashing back, he has a 90% chance to evade any rage projectiles automatically. So very similar to like Daredevil Classics. So yeah, some really, really interesting stuff you can do there with certain matchups, like again versus like Maestro, or maybe like a War Machine or a Falcon, or somebody who has a very, very tricky special one to fully evade, is the chances are you are automatically going to evade it while invisible. So that's pretty damn decent there. Then you've got Guillotine, who is a staple for a lot of the first Realm of Legends clears that a lot of players will do. Very good for reversing the healing on Wolverine there. And just whenever you have a character that heals for an insane amount, most of the time Guillotine is like your go-to option because she can just reverse the healing and use that against them and absolutely slay them. So yeah, she's a really, really good option for that. Then finally we have Ghost Rider, who's a bit more of a controlled Swiss Army knife. Ghost Rider does take a lot of practice to kind of get good at, but he has regeneration, he has a power burn, he has a nullify and Fate Seal on a special 1, he has an even more powerful kind of power lock and Fate Seal on his special 3 as well. So there's a lot of stuff that Ghost Rider can do utility wise, so I think he's a pretty decent option for that. In the tech class, we have Star-Lord. Star-Lord, even as a 3-star, hits so much harder than a lot of 4-star champions, providing you can keep the combo up. So, you know, if you're a good player, which, you know, eventually you'll get to that level, 3-star Star-Lord is a great option to rank up. Vision, amazing power control mechanics. He's poison and bleed immune, so really, really good character to have as a maxed out 3-star for a lot of challenges. Then finally we have Cosmeg. We have Hyperion, just an insane damage dealer. A bit of synergy with Despair on his special 1, because you can pretty much like stack a crazy amount of incinerates and, you know, reduce the healing on the opponent to practically nothing. He's got stun on his special too. He's poison immune. He hits like an absolute truck. He's a great character to max out. Maybe a little bit of personal preference there, but I think he's a really, really good option for a lot of people. And then finally, you have Ronin. So any scenario where your Ronin has either power gain or the opponent has like a lot of buffs, you're pretty much going to be able to get an infinite stun with Ronin. So Ronin's always a very good character to have maxed out as a 3-star because there are so many like different opportunities and fights where Ronin will just be insane. Like you'll just be able to stun lock them and just beat them into oblivion. Like that is just so insanely common. Very good for like Venom in Act 4 as well. So yeah, Ronin's just a very, very nice champion to have utility. Maybe he's a little bit more reliable than Hulk in terms of his stun for a lot of fights, but Hulk just hits a lot harder and is a little bit more fun to play, so that's why I added him to the list. So ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts on some of the best 3-star characters to max out. Again, this guide kind of was aimed at kind of newer and intermediate progressing players. When you eventually get to this crazy level of like, oh, I'm at endgame, I have close to infinite resources, you can max out all the 3-stars, but I just wanted to give some of the newer players like a spreadsheet, some guidelines on which 3-star characters as a progressing player I would focus my resources on. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video, an overview of the characters. If you did, feel free to leave a like on the video, that would be greatly appreciated. Apart from that, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.